Hello, hello. Good evening. I am Sumana Jeddy. Really happy to be live again. I popped in a little bit early, just a minute early, just to see if we can get all set up. Really happy to be here on a Wednesday, second Wednesday of every month. We go live on LinkedIn and YouTube. So this is just one of those days, one of those moments where I feel like I am just delighted, but also tired, but also just really happy that we can be together and have this conversation about employee recognition. I try to go live. I was just live on Monday with Felipe and with Marion Spears Carr, which was really exciting. The three of us haven't been together in a audio room for a minute, so this was a really nice, pleasant surprise. And an opportunity to connect on Monday. So that was really nice. We had a really good conversation about acquired neurodivergence. So if you haven't listened to that one, I highly recommend to go check out that replay with Felipe. In the meantime, for me, I'm gonna maybe pop on my camera for just a couple minutes because just to kind of set the stage about what is it that I do every other Wednesday, every other Wednesday live on LinkedIn. I like this. I like coming live on LinkedIn. So if you're joining me, feel free to pop it in the chat here. I will say this is at 6:30. Typically, I do it at 5:30 Mountain Time. There was just a lot going on today. There was just too many things that had to be accomplished. So I did not want to set myself up to fail. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to start this a little bit later and then we'll see who happens to join, which is if you're joining, that's great. If you're listening later, that's okay too. Just let me know what is happening on your end. So the reskill session is meant to be a micro learning session, which is great for the folks that only have a little bit of time and don't really have a lot of energy and investment to learn. So typically, what I do is on the first Wednesday of every month, we post our blog, which is on the first Wednesday of every month. We've been doing it consistently since 2024. So that's what we do on the first Wednesday of every month. Basically, throughout the year, I think we do take a break over the summer, but there's something going on in the research world on the first Wednesday of every month. And then the second Wednesday of every month, which is this, I just started this in January. So this is my 6th month doing a Reskill live session. And I know this is quite late for my Eastern folks. 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. I know this is late, but maybe just watch the replay and kind of do that learning and development later. I don't that's fine. But the second Wednesday of every month, what I do is I come live on LinkedIn and on YouTube and I just teach the components of our blog in more of a kind of a visual sort of format. So that's what I do every other every other Monday. Second Wednesday of every month. And then we have Workplace Wellness Hour, which is coming close to we're wrapping things up. I actually cannot believe it. This has been one of our best seasons yet. Wrapping things up here with Workplace Wellness Hour on actually next not next Monday. The Monday after that will be our last episode of season 4, which is incredible, like just brilliant. I can't believe that we've reached that milestone already. So yeah, that's the last episode of the month coming up on the last episode of the month coming up. When is it coming up here? Let me just give you the dates if you're listening. The 22nd will be the last episode of Workplace Wellness Hour. And for me, I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to do this in July, August. I still might kind of keep the learning trajectory available. I might do that. Maybe we'll do a bit of a pulse check later on to see if there is an interest in that, or I might take a summer break because typically we take a summer break anyways. 8:30 late. Who wants to go to bed by midnight these days? You know what, Cooper, I've definitely been struggling with sleep so much. Oh my goodness, definitely been struggling with sleep. I figured 8:30. I mean, who wants to? I don't know. Maybe you want to learn at 8:30. Maybe 8:30 isn't too late. I've been staying up quite late as well. But that is just the nature of how it's been. May and June have been just like wild, wild in terms of like just things that have been going on that are keeping me up at night. So, anyways, thank you for joining. I know you were joining us yesterday as well on Workplace Wellness Hour. So, thank you for that. It's still 6:30 yes for me here. So, I'll keep this short and sweet, which is the whole vibe of the reskill session. If you don't know, our conversation, I'm going to put this back up here for just a minute, but our conversation, let me do this here. Maybe this format is a little bit better for the moment. Yeah, our format, our blog this month has been on employee recognition. So that's what I've been kind of thinking about. Thank you, Leanne, as well for joining. And Cooper, we'll keep it. Listen, I'll keep this short and sweet. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but I do want to kind of maybe start this conversation a little bit here to maybe just ask you if you've ever been recognized at work. And if we've been recognized at work, what did you get? Did you get a gift card? Did you get a handwritten note? Did you get a pizza party? What forms of recognition have you seen at work? Because what research is telling us is something a little bit different. So I want to kind of dive more into what that looks like from the workplace well-being research perspective. But tell me more, or put it in the chat and tell me what kind of recognition have you received, and do you think that recognition in the workplace for a job well done, are you just getting those teams thumbs ups and those heart emojis and the clapping emojis? Are you getting some of those? Or are you getting perhaps a gift card or a pizza party or something like that? Because as I said, the research is saying that recognition is beyond some of these just reward metrics here. So I'll wait for you to maybe answer that if you feel like answering. Have you ever received a gift card, an employee award? Have you ever received like a public shout out in a team setting, or are you just getting a lot of those like emojis and reactions in your team's channels or Slack channels? Like, what are you seeing? That's kind of where I would like to start this conversation, because we have been talking a lot about employee engagement. Last month's blog was all about employee engagement. We kind of were teaching you what that looks like, and giving you some strategies on how to keep employees engaged. Within that same breath, feeling respected, feeling seen, feeling appreciated in the work environment has a lot of impact on employee engagement as well. So all of these concepts are pretty much related. So anyways, put that in the chat. Let me know what you're thinking, because I'll dive right into the framework pieces here and just sort of teach you the four different types of employee recognition that we are the research is saying, oh, welcome as well, Will. That research is saying is actually what we should be kind of like working towards. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be kind of talking about for the next little bit here, and then we'll wrap it up real fast. Okay, first things first, I will turn my camera off because maybe you don't need to really see me at this point. First things first, let's talk about the first one, which is the recognition of the person. So before we recognize what people do, we really need to recognize who they are. Who are these individuals that are popping in to our workspace here? Let me know if I'm still live, and if that stream hasn't ended in any which way. I hope not. Okay. Let me know how that's going. But anyways, recognition of the person is about treating the employees with that dignity, that respect, and that trust. So what's really interesting in this particular space is that recognition oftentimes doesn't just show up in that formal sort of recognition process that we're all used to. You cannot just give someone an Employee of the Month award and then ignore all the curiosity, all the ideas, and everything else that they've been working on every other day of the month. It defeats the purpose of that. So when employees don't feel recognized as people, you are losing that credibility, which is important. So I want you to think about, as I've given you some other cues here. So, recognition of the person, I want you to think about what makes you feel respected at work. What is it that you need, which I'm sure is different for different individuals that are listening in the live here, or maybe watching the replay. So, for the recognition of the person piece, the big takeaway or the question that I want you to think about is what makes you feel the most respected or feels respected at work. Okay. The second type of recognition, I'll go back here again, is to think about the recognition of how, the big how. How does work actually get done? Because many organizations will recognize the outcomes of the work that's being done, but they oftentimes forget about how do we recognize the behaviors that are generating some of these outcomes. So I want you to think about creativity, all of those like really powerful skills that we need, problem solving, innovation. I want you to think about collaboration. So when, for example, if a manager says something like, I really appreciated how you brought all these different departments together to solve a problem, they're recognizing the work practice and not just the great result of the work. So one of the things I want you to think about is, instead, if you're a manager, if you're listening, instead of managers, if you're listening, instead of saying something like great work and just giving like that thumbs up, I want you to say, make it about the practice, right? Make it about how work gets done. I want you to say something like, the way you collaborated across all those teams made that project successful. So go back to those metrics on how work gets done, rather than just saying that the outcome was accomplished. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Let me know in the chat what we're thinking about that. Let's keep moving. If I don't see the chat, I will just keep speaking, and then you can always ask me questions later on. The third thing here that I want to kind of talk about is recognition of job dedication. So, this is recognition that is coming from the effort, it's coming from the commitment, and it's coming from the dedication of the work that we're doing here. So, in this type of recognition, I want you to think about recognizing the employee who stays engaged even during those crisis moments and during that difficult maybe transition. I want you to think about those colleagues who have helped these individuals adapt to change. I also want you to think about the team members who are showing up, right? No matter what's going on, they're still showing up, and they're showing up despite all the different kind of competing things that are happening in their own world. So this recognition is important because we want to make sure that workplaces are asking employees to navigate, because we are doing that. We're asking employees, we need you to be, and we need you to have all these skills in navigating uncertainty or change or increasing demand. So we want you to do all of these things, but we're not recognizing your effort. We're not recognizing your persistence, and we're not recognizing your commitment. So, in order to do this, one of the most important questions that you can ask is, how often are we doing recognition effort before the final, basically the outcome arrives? So I want you to really dive more into that space, because I think that's important here. Welcome, Coach Carrie from Indiana. So nice to see you. I love that. And the last one here, which I want to kind of talk about. So we've talked about, the person, the work practice. We've talked about the job dedication, the time where we are really just in it when that uncertainty kicks in. We want to spend a little bit more time recognizing that effort. The last type of recognition that I want you to think about is the recognition of results. I think this is something that I think we're probably more accustomed to. We are more familiar with number four than we are on those other ones. So this is the one where we're talking about, yes, Ken and Will and Carrie, you have met your goals. You've done your project deliverables. You've achieved your milestones. All of these wonderful things have happened already. So result driven recognition is quite common. And when that happens, obviously employees start to feel that, you know what, I matter, the results matter. But here's the thing, the challenge here is that results are often should not be the only thing that we recognize. If we start to think that the only thing that I recognize for this employee is a result that they've done that's, created an outcome for my company, the KPI that needed to be delivered, then I'm going to start to feel that maybe everything else is invisible. I don't really start to feel like that human again, right? So I think one of the things I want you to think about is, when we think about recognition in all of these four elements, the recognition of the person, the recognition of the work practice, the recognition of the job dedication, and the recognition of the result. I'll turn my just camera off so you can see that last little bit here. I want you to think about, I value you. So that's the person. That's the piece on the left hand side where I want managers who are leading teams to tell their teams that I value you. On that's the work practice side of things. I want you to say, I value how we work. Don't forget the how, not just that they're doing the work, right? I want you to talk a little bit about, how did you do that thing? How did that problem get solved? Think back to those skills that that individual is bringing to the table. When we talk about recognition of job dedication, I want you to think about, I value your effort and your commitment during the challenging times, during this chaos, during the time that you had to work extra hours when we were stretched too thin and we had a hiring freeze. Like, get really specific about that recognition. And last but not the least, I also want you to think about that result, which I think a lot of us sometimes feel like that is the most common one. I can hear you said, that was, oh, thank you, I appreciate that comment. But you had another comment where you said that most of the times we are just being recognized for those results, more so than anything else. Lisa, thank you for popping in. Christy, hey, I haven't seen you in a minute, thank you for popping in as well. So in closing, for this micro learning session, when we think about employee recognition, if you are a manager, anybody who's an HR leader, anybody who is a HR professional, anyone who's even on the other side of the fence, being an employee, take this to your manager perhaps and teach them. I want you to think about something really, really simple as a reflection question. I know I've given you a ton to think about. Um, when was the last time you recognized someone as a person? You recognized how they worked, you recognized their dedication, and you recognized their results. That is the biggest takeaway that I'm going to give you. Is I want you to really think about, the person, the how they worked, their dedication, and their result. Let's get specific about our employee recognition, because organizations that are most people are pretty good at that result piece, like I said, but start saying things like, I value you, I value how you work, I value your effort, and I value what you achieved, right? So those are the things that I want you to think about when it comes to employee recognition. So at this point, now that I've given you that micro learning session, please go and have a look at the blog that is on the Jeddy Wellness blog page. We post an evidence-based blog every single month on the first Wednesday of every month. But for this particular piece, going back to recognition framework here, for this particular piece, I kind of want to know if you have any questions about this. When was the last time, or have you used all four of those elements? Or when was the last time you recognize somebody for the work that they did, or for the results that they achieved, or how they worked? I think the how they worked gets lost in translation all the time, and their dedication, and are we still hung up on the old ways of just rewarding people with a gift card, or throwing them a little party and just saying thank you so much, but not really getting really specific. So the reason we're sharing this model is because, first of all, this is an evidence-based framework, and the more specific that we can get about something like this, the more likely we are going to work towards building that engagement piece. Because believe it or not, when we talk about the job demands and job resources model, employee recognition is one job resource, meaning we need this to start to feel like we are part of the bigger picture. So this is a job resource that's actually going to help us sustain in our work environment. So any questions from anybody at this point? I'm happy to take a few kind of questions in the chat if you want to pop it in there. But beyond that, I mean, I strongly believe that once we start to learn these frameworks, just like the ones I've taught you before about the workload frameworks, we've taught you about feedback, we've taught you R2C2, we've taught you those connection frameworks as well. There's a lot of really incredible research that we can leverage and bring to you, which is what I like to do, is bring some of that research to you so that you can start to apply something like this and start to use the language within your teams, especially anyone who's an HR professional, a manager, or a leader. Please use things like this. If you're finding it that it's a little bit uncomfortable for you, you're finding it hard to do stuff like this, using a predetermined framework like this will help you with getting that language, like getting through to your team in a more sort of creative way. And then you can also kind of mix and match, right? So you can also say, you know what, I've been spending perhaps the month of June, I'm spending a lot of time just learning how to value the person. And then maybe for the next month, I'm going to maybe think about how to value the work that they do, the how that they do it, so that you have options to choose from when we're thinking about something like this. Okay. Any questions? How are we feeling? I'd love to see them in the chat if you have any. Otherwise, honestly, I like to keep this short and sweet. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. The goal of these micro learning sessions is meant to be for you to learn in a different format. So if you don't like reading the blog that I post, which I'm happy to put in the chat box here later on. So if you don't like reading the blog, then this is kind of a good kind of video audio format. I know some people prefer that, and some people prefer reading. This can be pulled up from the blog page as well. So happy to serve in whatever way makes sense to you. So any questions about recognition? Any comments that you have? One of the questions I saw from Ken was, I always exceed my goals. Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. I love that. I think it's great to exceed your goals, to have those kind of moments of reflection within that space. But I hope this was helpful. And I know a few of you joined live, which I'm really grateful for you to join live. Let me see. Is there anything else I can help you with? Is there anything else I can talk to you about employee recognition? Is this all making a lot of sense? Let me see. How do we feel about employee recognition? And as you're thinking about that, the other kind of in the beginning part of the live, I asked you a question which was also meant for you to think about is, how do we feel about coffee cards and gift cards? And what else do you feel like, are we losing kind of a sense of value by just getting those really basic forms of recognition that probably we don't really need at this point? Okay. All right. Let me see a couple comments here. If I'm not mistaken, employees who achieve these things would like more time, more ownership and stake. Mandatory fun, not mandatory fun, or some brief tribute. So if I'm not mistaken, sorry, let me just go back and read that again. If I'm not mistaken, employees who achieve these things would like more time, more ownership and stake. Yes, making honestly anytime we do we go into our resource bucket and we pull something from our resource bucket to balance out the job demands and the job resources. When anytime we do this, forced collaboration is always kind of hard. We don't really want to make anything seem like it's forced collaboration or forcing anything, which is why there's so many options to choose from, right? There's multiple things here that we can do to ensure that as a leader, as an HR professional, as a maybe a middle manager, a new manager, like pick what makes sense to you. I don't want you to do, for example, the job dedication piece. Maybe you don't like the job dedication piece. Maybe you find that a little bit awkward to do, but maybe you're more the type of person that wants to recognize the job practices. I really love the way Cooper was able to work on that particular project by using a skill like collaboration with the key stakeholders that led to the success of that project, something like that, right? So, really kind of focusing on how you did the deliverable versus that the deliverable was met. Great job, Cooper. Nobody wants to hear that. I feel like maybe we are just trying to like become a little lazy with our recognition here. No, it did. Yeah, no, it did show up. It did show up. Okay, so anything else that I can help you with? Because while you're thinking about that reflection cue that I gave you, um, I want to talk a little bit about our amazing team. I love every single human being that's on this photo right here. Love everybody here who's been doing some really great work. Our ambassadors are the key to successfully. I've been looking at the data actually on LinkedIn since the beginning of the year because this program just became so much bigger over the last 6 months. So, really delighted that all these individuals from various parts of the world are disseminating that that research on their own LinkedIn platforms to their own communities in their own unique ways. There's no, it is impossible for one person to be. I can shout out, shout from the rooftop about all the wonderful research pieces that I have, but it does take a collective to really move the needle. So I'm really grateful to all the ambassadors who are here. Some of them have been with me for 2 years since the program started in 2024. Some of us are taking a little bit of a break, but we're all kind of in it in the workplace well-being space. So if you ever want to join the ambassador program, please give me an email or a message. I can put my email in the chat here, or you can send me a DM on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help you. But this is a great way for anyone who wants to stay on top of the workplace well-being research space and want to be the first one to know about what's going on. So you almost become more of an expert, a thought leader in the space. Very low commitment, high reward. I love all the individuals that are here, students, athletes, performance. What am I saying? Not performance. Yeah, individuals that care about performance, individuals that care about mental health. All of them from all over the world. They're all here. So just really grateful for them. And with that, my friends, I will say goodbye to you for right now because I will be back for another episode, I guess, of the Reskill with Jeddy. We'll talk about something different. I'm always on top of the research space, so I am always looking to see what's out there. So I'll deliver something next month, or we might do a bit of a recap. We'll see how July goes. Please don't forget to come to Workplace Wellness Hour, which is happening on the 22nd of June, our last episode of 2026. I was going to say 2024. No, 2026. So please come to that and go read the blog. Go read this blog. Go read other blogs. If you have any questions about the content or anything like that, I'm just a DM away. I'm happy to help you. And I would say, please take this information and share it with your people, with your communities. I think the biggest thing we can do with research is share it. So if there's anyone who finds these frameworks helpful, please share them. Please tag them. I want them to learn and I want them to apply. And I'm happy to help with that application piece as well. If there's any questions about that, happy to help. But with that being said, it is 6:58, almost close to 7 p.m. here in Alberta. I'm going to say goodbye to you, and I will be back on Monday, and I'll be back. You'll see me on LinkedIn. You will 100% see me on LinkedIn. I'll pop into some of the other lives as well. I know Jay. I know there's a Social Saturday one that happens, and there's a couple of other shows that I like to stay on top of. So if I'm not engaging in the chat I know I'm listening. Most of the time, I'm at least like listening if I'm not able to chat that much. So I appreciate all of you who came, listened, and learned. And I will see you at another time for another reskill session with Jeddy. And I hope this was helpful. And for the folks that are coming from the East Coast, maybe go chill, go do something, have your dinner, maybe go have a cup of tea, do something fun, and DM me if there's any questions that I can help you with. All right. Cheers, everybody. Bye.